Hello, everybody. I'm Jake,
I'm Chantel.
and we're a pair of dinks. And this is our podcast.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I think today we wanted to talk a bit more about who we are and a little bit about, I guess, like, I think, Chantel, I'm curious about what got you into modeling and wanting to be in front of cameras and take the kind of photographs that you take, because you like photographing nature and things that are basically not people, which I find very interesting, since you really enjoy modeling as well and being in front of the camera and exploring yourself on the other side of the lens. And then it seems fun that you kind of have this flip-flop, and then when you get behind the lens, you want to explore the world that we exist in. And I think that's such a fun combination to have creatively.
Yeah, well, the reason I got into modeling was photography.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got into photography was back, like, I've always felt like I should be doing something creative. Photography was never, ever on my mind growing up. I never even thought about it. We never really had a camera. And, well, I used to carry a video camera around with me in the last, year or two of high school. And I was, shooting everything. But I didn't know what I was doing, but that was fun. But never thought of a photograph camera, taking photos. But I've always liked to draw and sing and create and act and do all these things. And but I was never really quite good enough for any of those, to be skilled or talented in any of those things. A little bit, only halfway. I can barely do it. That's what I like to say.
Half of the talent is just showing up and trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, anyway, so in my 20s, I think it was 2017, actually, I went to go see a medium.
Ooh.
To connect to my best friend that had passed away a while back. And I was able to ask the medium one question, and I had a list of questions ready. And my one question for her was, I felt like I should be doing something creative, because all those other things never really made me feel completely fulfilled, because it felt like it was unattainable still.
And what were the other things?
Drawing or singing or dancing or acting, anything other.
You enjoyed
creative.
them, but they weren't a fulfilling.
It just, because I never felt like I was quite good enough for any of those things.
Mm.
And so I still felt like something profoundly creative was missing from me.
Yeah.
For me, I guess. Again, not even ever thinking about the camera. And then, so I asked her, I said, I feel like I should be doing something creative, but, I can only really do any of these things halfway. What do you think, basically? She's like, you should pick up a camera because you have an eye for detail.
Ooh.
So since then, I had borrowed indefinitely, still have it, 2017, a camera from my brother's girlfriend, Coral. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Coral. I'm still using that camera. I owe you. Because she wasn't using it, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. So I just started practicing taking photos of my friends, mainly women, because I really liked boudoir. And so I'm grateful for those people who let me borrow them.
Yeah.
And then I started also taking pictures of flowers and leaves and bugs and stuff around the same time, and mostly flowers around that time, actually. Bugs kind of came later. But I always liked the small world, just a tiny land.
Yeah.
I love cartoons. I don't know if that sort of
well,
inspired a lot of that.
I always appreciate, you seem to notice these really cool, interesting, mixtures of colors. And what I find fascinating, looking through your photographs with you and hearing your commentary on them, or asking why you looked at this thing, you see such a little scene that's playing out. Like, I love it. When you talk about your photos, there's like this whole drama in a way.
I wish we recorded that one time when we went to Sandell Gardens, and we took you taught me how to use the camera finally. Finally, I had been using the camera the same way since 2017, so I never really learned anything until I meet Jake in 2021, and he tells me what the functions of my camera actually do. Oh my God, freedom. Everything looks so much better. Anyways, we took some bomb pictures.
Yeah.
And then we looked at them on the computer and we just talked about them. And yeah, I remember you saying that, and that was cool.
Yeah. Well, there's something about the way I think color and shape really draws your eye, along with such an attention to the subject, which I think I find fascinating because when I'm looking through the lens, to me, it's so much more geometric, and I'm focused on the quality of light and the way the lines are going. Like, I'm almost not even looking at what's happening in the photo. I'm just seeing lines and all this stuff, and you have a completely different focus. Like, you're seeing entirely what's going on. You're paying attention to the colors. Like, I feel like your photography is very color driven.
Oh, I love color.
Yeah.
No, black and white I always thought. And this is not dissing anyone, but just personal preference. Like, there's so many beautiful black and white photos out there, but it just made me feel kind of boring, even though it's romantic and timeless. It's got to be the right shot. But color just it just fills me. So I'm just like, yeah.
When
it's beautiful.
It makes so much sense when I think of your love for cartoons, especially the ones that we've been watching together, like some of your favorites, and they're so colorful.
I know. I can't believe All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah.
Like the second one, even all the dogs are different colors.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really thought about that before. And then when they start singing, everything becomes like different colors. It's so cool. But
and very musical. I haven't noticed that until recently too. How like a lot of the cartoons that we watched are musicals almost. They're like animated musicals.
I'm pretty sure most cartoons are, majority are, and I love music too.
Yeah.
I used to sing along to all those. Now, like, some of those are, wow, not good. But a lot of them are still good.
Totally.
But anyways, so.
But could I just interject and say that I think that also speaks to the way in which you're able to see these like whole stories happening, right? Because so many of those musical, but so much of the musicals, they are like their exposition, their storytelling. They're a huge part of the drama of the narrative, and they're moving it along in this really creative, and I think very fun and whimsical way, which I think is something you've helped me appreciate in musicals. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're a musician.
Yeah, but I've never liked musicals.
Oh, they're so good.
They felt weird to me, right? When you're watching something and then all of a sudden people just burst out into song, and you're like, I'm always like, that never happens. Like, people don't just burst out into song in the middle of their day.
That's what I love about movies and stuff, though. It's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not real life.
It's And then we could go on about cancel culture. This could end up a whole different conversation than what we started.
No, we're keeping this positive.
Let's go back.
Yes. So back.
So, while I was taking photos of other people, I was also using myself as a model. So I was taking a lot of self-portraits. Like, I would just feel like taking a photo and set my camera up some way. Yeah. Even if I didn't have a tripod, I'd throw it on a chair or something, and like I also had only a timer. I didn't have infrared, so I couldn't couldn't have a remote. So, I actually, looking back, there were quite a few really, really cool photos though.
Yeah.
Of myself in ways like not knowing what I was doing. So so that led me to wanting to connect with other people. So I'm just trying to gather my thoughts on like how I ended up modeling. Well, I found a website. I was trying to find a website that would connect me to other people. And I found one that was like all sorts of creatives, photographers, models, makeup artists, hairstylists, retouchers, and all that whatnot. And so I just signed up for that, and I had the option of choosing what was my art whatever.
Your focus.
My focus. And I threw myself up there as a model.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at my photos too. I'm like, yeah, I don't look bad. I mean, I might make another person happy.
Yeah. That's some good self-esteem.
Well, actually, yeah, starting to take photos of myself really made me a lot more confident.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
In a weird kind of way. And I just felt like I accepted myself more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also an art, so it's also another creative thing. And I thought if I could model, it would help me direct my models better, because I was struggling with that.
Yeah.
I think that's also why I don't really like it, because I never really figured out what to do. So I got on this website, put myself as a model, used the photos that I had of myself, self-portraits, and then I got like a few people inquiring, and then I met one photographer through there, and always meet in a public place, because, you know, there's freaky people, and then always photograph in like a public place. So we had a chat, we got to know each other, I felt comfortable. He showed me some of his work too, and I was like, yeah, pretty good photos. Like, the best thing about this industry too is like you get to choose who you want to work with. You don't have to work with someone who you're not comfortable with, and they don't have good quality photos, because you just want to have your photo taken and get it out there.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, totally get it, but you got to have some sort of level of filming in.
Well, like, there's a certain quality, or there's a certain
standard, I guess, levels, like a standard.
Yeah, or even a style maybe that you want to explore, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's a different quality, but it's a certain type of style of photography, and you want to see how you look in that, or how you look through this person's process, right? Well, especially too, I think you touched on the very important part there, which is that personal connection that happens. Like, that's almost more important than the quality of the work.
Yeah.
It's like, do I feel comfortable? Do I feel like this person can lead me to some of these places I want to explore, or do I feel safe enough that I can let myself explore in a new direction? Or
it's really funny thing. When it's almost more revealing when you have a camera in your face than it is to look someone straight in the eye.
Totally.
So, like, yeah. So just want to be comfortable and whatnot. So. And then I had my first photo shoot, and I worked with him a few more times, and then I started working with other people, and then that's how so I've just been doing that basically since. That's how we met, but that's another conversation for the future. But I haven't done a whole lot lately since we moved and whatnot. I've sort of felt a little bit less inspired. But I'm also waiting for everything to bloom around here, because spring and summer is late in Calgary.
Yeah.
Things are just starting to bud. It's May 7th or something. So I'm looking forward to that, because that's when I get to take photos of the flowers. And yeah, I love taking photos of bugs. And I haven't seen a whole lot of bugs around here yet.
We got some cool ones of that slug when we were on that walk near your place in Maple Ridge.
Yeah, wish we had a real camera, though. We had just our phones then.
Yeah, but we still got some amazing photos with it.
Yeah.
Best camera is the one that you have on you.
Yeah, well, and then you got me those not lenses. Those extension tubes. So we went to the Victoria Butterfly Gardens, and I got to try those out, and that's awesome. I got some pretty wicked pictures that I haven't really shared, like, a lot, because, like, in the editing process, I'm not happy with what I'm coming up with so far. So eventually, there's some cool turtle photos, though. Like, really, like, some of the best photos I think I've ever taken that I'm really proud of. So if you want to go see them, just hop over to my Instagram.
Great. The turtles. We'll make sure to share those with us.
But I think that's enough about me. I feel like I've talked more than I said I was going to talk at all. So... But you have been doing this a whole lot longer. That's why you're professional, and that's why they pay you to come here and there, and they print your photos.
Oh, it doesn't matter how much they pay you. You still don't feel professional enough, though.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
feeling
Well,
doesn't go away.
I think, but I've read that and I've heard of that with a lot of just artists. Like there's always something unobtainable almost.
Yeah. Well, I think you're trying to, I don't know about other people, but in my experience, I think I came from a family that's not, how would I say it? Like, my family's artistic, but none of them really do it professionally.
Yeah.
You know, it was always kind of a hobby thing. There was always, I know everyone meant it with the best intentions, but it was always like, well, you better have a plan B. Like, better have a real job as a backup.
Because at this time, what did you want to do and how old were you?
I honestly had, like, all the time growing up, I never had any idea what I really wanted to do. Like, I kind of looked around and it was like, well, what needs to be done? And, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be done in the world, but none of it really interests me. And none of it was interesting enough to be like, I want to devote 40 plus hours a week of my life to this for 30 years or something, right? Like thinking of that traditional job course route. Like there wasn't anything out there that I'm like, I would love to do that all day, every day, and just be that.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like traditional jobs. So it was weird for me, like when I got, like in high school, I always enjoyed English class. And I think I enjoyed English because it was the one class where I could have my own answer. You know, like all the maths, the sciences, the histories, the blah, blah, blah. Like there was sort of a expected answer.
There's a firm answer. Yeah. There's no...
It was like, no, the answer is 7. Or,
yeah.
No, the answer is CO2. Like, yeah. You know, it was very cut and dry in a way. There wasn't a lot of room for any exploration in terms of finding those answers versus English class. That was a place where I felt I could always, like, whatever I put out there, I'm like, no, that's my answer. You can critique the ways in which I've presented it, for sure. You know, I remember in 9th grade getting obsessed with the word rhetoric, because that was a word that my English teacher used a lot in 9th grade, my freshman year.
What's that mean?
It's basically like arguing your point.
So, yeah, of course you love it.
Yeah, but it kind of introduced me to that idea where I was like, oh, like nobody's right or wrong. Like there's no one thing saying you're right or wrong. It's just who has the clearer argument. You know, it's like who sounds more put together, right? In terms of when you're stringing together your logical points.
Yeah. And
trying to point something out to somebody. Who sounds like, who are you going to believe? Who are you going to follow? You know, and I was like, oh, this is fascinating. Because there was nowhere else in school where that was discussed, right? It was kind of like, nope, you just do this and you follow that. Boom, there's your answer. Yeah. That's what we want. Do that. You know, versus the English class, to me, it was totally like, whoa, like, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, sort of like opinion based that you still come to an answer.
I mean, it's subjective, but at the same point, you're discussing this with multiple people, right? Because like we'd have whole class discussions about things. So I'm like, you can't just sit there and be right on your own. Yeah. You have to convince everyone else that what you're saying makes sense. And it has to make sense to them based off of the life that they live and the circumstances that they live within, right? Because I was in public school, so we're all from wildly different backgrounds, right? And then, like, I really didn't like school. Like, I did good in it just so that teachers and administrators wouldn't bother me. But I really didn't enjoy, like, the process of going to school. Yeah. And so I would find little ways to rebel in, like, an English class. So then if we fast forward to, like, maybe my senior year. Thanks for listening to the Paradigms podcast. This story is just a bit too long for one episode, so tune in next week and we'll pick it up right where we left off, and I'll tell you all about my high school English teacher and how he handled my little rebellions. All right, we'll see you next week.